Right, hey guys, how we doing? Back another video from Seth the Programmer, and today we have got Could Goku Stop Makima? So we've got Dragon Ball versus Chainsaw Man going on here. We got cross-verse stuff going on. And if you were to come up to me in the middle of the street randomly and be like, hey, who do you think will win in a fight? Goku or Makima? I'd be like, well, Goku. But this video is half an hour long, so it feels like there's more of a discussion to be had. But it does say Stop Makima, and I do believe the title was something else before that, which was, I think it was, could he have saved power? I think that's a bit of a spoilery kind of title, so I don't know, he changed it, but still, in my head, that is maybe not quite the discussion of who would win in a fight, but it's more situational, maybe. I don't know, let's get into the video.
The internet previously really got into
We still going on about that? Okay.
arguing about if Goku with absolutely no limbs and dying of a heart virus could take on Naruto, which I decided to give an extremely detailed explanation of.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed
in terms
that video.
of how all of the various nerfs to Goku would objectively affect his power level based on the memes going around at the time. After this, the next set of memes and battles that was being pushed to me was what if Goku randomly teleported in between.
Oh, I see. So it is situational into this moment.
Between Makima and Power from Chainsaw Man when Makima was about to kill Power, and Goku then tried to stop her from finishing her off.
Okay, alright, this is not, yeah, alright, cool, love this.
Some memes would have Makima then just straight up blowing a hole in Goku,
Yeah.
and then being shocked, thinking he should have been stronger. Goku going Super Saiyan and then flicking her into a wall.
Whoa, that looks
or
epic.
even Goku punching Makima and then doing nothing to her, as thousands of random people would just die instead. So, in this video, I decided to objectively analyze what would actually happen, and just like before, teach you all some.
The door, don't open the door! Don't open the door!
Paul?
Regardless of your thoughts on the rather abnormal storytelling approach that Tatsuki Fujimoto takes with this week-to-week release of Chainsaw Man, it's hard to argue with the fact that Makima's entire arc is pretty damn entertaining from her conception to end.
Yeah.
A culmination of manipulation that would even make Aizen impressed. A brutal killing of character after character, hopeless perspectives, then a moment, which on the surface isn't the worst thing done or shown, but is definitely one of the worst moments for the main character, Denji. One of the most spoiled and memed about moments in any manga, especially of the modern day, me included. Denji answering the door with Makima to be surprised by his first ever proper birthday, a gift from Power, a friend who he had recently befriended, and upon this reveal, Makima just splatters her against a wall. Just like that.
Just like that.
Dead. But what if this never happened? What if something or someone were to intervene at just the right moment, securing the cake, saving Power, and ensuring a great birthday for Denji?
Yes, let's make sure Denji has a good birthday.
Well, that's where the hope of the universe comes in.
Love that, that's brilliant.
Son Goku, who has instant transmission all the way from King Kai's planet.
It says all the way, but it doesn't really matter, it's instant transmission and it's in the name, he can go anywhere instantly.
Directly in the way of Makima's horrendous action. Could Goku actually stop this? Would he be too late? What happens if Makima survives? Could she just take down Goku? Could she just manipulate him as well? Let's get into it. I feel as though with all of these versus battle matchups, especially when it comes to more absurd and specific forms, that it's really important to always just lay down the win conditions at hand. And what the main opposition outside the usually accepted winner has, that could potentially change things. In this case, what does Makima realistically have going for her here against someone like Goku that would even make someone ask a question? I don't think most people are going to tell you Makima is karate kicking Ultra Instinct Goku and knocking him out in one hit, but they will bring up other things. The Power Bodyguard mission also makes things a lot more complicated and high risk for Goku as well. I think the first and most obvious thing to go over chronologically speaking is Bang.
Okay, cool.
This would probably be the first thing Makima would use on Goku, who would, in this case, I guess, instant transmission or teleport between them,
Yeah, like just dodge it, yeah.
and seems to be the genesis of every single one of these meme formats. Does Makima just blow a hole in Goku? In Chainsaw Man, the story isn't really the most upfront with a lot of feats, but we have some clues. The first thing that should be notable about it is that it blows power into paste. Who could blow a 10-foot tall abomination into paste with a hammer, respectively? Pasting a being that size would require more energy than it would take to level a small building, with over 41 million joules of energy.
Yeah, especially because it's not like she just blows a hole into power, through power. Like, Power's body's just like, just gone. So, yeah.
As many nerds online would calculate for us. But what Makima does casually against power doesn't really invoke a deeper story that could be told. Also, we need to be very charitable to Makima in a fight against Goku to prove a point. Take, for instance, her fight against the revived Gun Devil. The Gun Devil, whose mere eldritch bullet shrapnel could amplify a devil to absurdly strong degrees, and Makima pretty much off-screens it while totally off guard without any real struggle noted. The Gun Devil is noted at 20% power when owned by the President of the United States to probably have traveled around 23 kilometers in around 4 seconds, while being able to fire a bullet through the heart of literally every single living thing within a 1 kilometer radius of it in pretty much of an instant, said some months of the year being accepted within his contract for certain life forms, whatever.
God, part 1 was so crazy, like, when it got to the second half. Like, I really hope we get pretty far into the story when the anime comes back.
Reaching speeds of almost Mach 1400, or around 477,000 meters per second, due to being able to fire rounds dozens of kilometers away and probably spawning hundreds of kilometers away on top of this, while only being at 20% of its maximum ability, with Makima then off-screening it and being possibly transcendent to other devils on top of this.
Yeah, she really... every time something else appeared, it was like, Makima's there, and she just taken it.
The Gun Devil also blasts away large craters of land by just seeming to appear, such as in this instance, which would require around 700 tons of TNT. Thanks to many a nerds, once again, calculating this for us. But against Goku, we can go a lot farther than that. In Chapter 122, during Part 2 of Chainsaw Man, we're introduced to the Transcendent Fall Devil, a devil who controls, well, a sort of concept of fear of falling, whether emotionally,
that was so weird,
physically, or whatever have you. During the fight, we see that overall the Fall Devil is immune to all types of human weaponry that humanity currently possesses, probably including nuclear arms, and is commanded and summoned back to hell by the Famine Devil, Makima's, or rather the Control Devil's sister, who fought alongside her against the OG Chainsaw Man back in hell long before the story started. After the Fall Devil throws a building at Denji and she is summoned back, it is then revealed that Fall's mere existence on Earth caused the gravitational force of the very Earth to distort all around the planet. It was stated all nations suffered damage and simultaneously became poorer. The way that her ability is shown in the series is by causing humans to float into the sky and then die. However, if it were to be a gravitational influx that caused structural type damages or more cataclysmic forms of damage, we can determine something a bit larger. For instance, if the moon in real life were to vanish, the effect on the planet would be extreme, causing the very poles of the Earth to shift and sometimes swap to the equator. The very tilt of the planet may change alongside the seasons, and the very oceans and tides would cause mass extinctions of various species. The Earth tilting could cause massive weather extremes, with some estimating that slight tilts in the past could have caused an ice age, let alone the extremes that may occur with the moon out of the picture. The gravitational energy theorized
this is some mad power scaling in it
to be exerted from the moon onto the Earth, and probably vice versa due to Newton's third law, would be around 1.9 to 10 to the 20 joules, with the very gravitational binding energy of the moon, basically the level you'd have to be at to blow it apart or pull it apart, being 10 to the 28. So the actual energy the moon exerts would affect the poles, the tides, the weathers, and so forth, with the sheer existence of the Fall Devil potentially ruining every nation on Earth within minutes. While it depends what is the reason for that, whether due to the sheer volume of just people floating into the air and then dying all over the Earth, or actual gravity wells causing some type of structural and natural disasters, You get the idea of the scope of what this could be potentially entailing, considering the Fall Devil kind of did this on accident, and while probably heavily restricted. That's still not
Casual,
beating Goku, who was nuking the moon out of existence before Dragon Ball Z even started. So banging Chainsaw Man into space, probably not going to do anything to the guy who can accidentally punch away the universe in base form, let alone the transformations that make him thousands upon thousands of magnitudes more powerful.
I love this approach. It's like, so this is everything that is happening there, and it's like, whoa, and then it's like, but that still doesn't mean Goku. It's like, whoa.
Even if you were to argue the Darkness Devil or the Fall Devil just conceptually controlled all of their type of matter in existence. So for instance, the Darkness Devil would just be inherently above all dark matter or anything dark in the entire universe, and the Fall Devil just had all control over gravity and so on, it wouldn't really amount to punching the space-time of a multi-universal macrocosm. Nor is Chainsaw Man ever specific enough to make a claim that if she is even on the level of Darkness Devil to begin with, although some will say, which is unknown, although the story seems to have her below him in their encounter, probably due to her own machinations. But Makima has other ways to handle this situation. After all, even if Goku were to punch her head off, like literally off, like he does to Cell in his mental training simulations, she would of course respawn with potentially millions upon millions of lives, as all damage she would receive is transferred to a random Japanese citizen.
Yeah, she's got all the different souls, haven't they, that she can just like switch out with.
Due to devil contracts she made with the government. This could have ramifications depending on how it's used. If the damage is spread out through casualties, one punch from Goku could eradicate all of the millions of her lives in one single hit by accident. And if all the damage is not spread out and instead just linked to one guy at a time, one random dude is going to explode every single time Goku punches her. So if Goku comboed her faster than it would take a speeding rocket to blast the universe in 20 minutes, or was to punch her with enough speed to where time is potentially irrelevant, then he could still pretty much combo all of her lives away in an instant before...
Yeah, but it's one of those. She'd let Goku know what was happening, and then he'd feel guilty and stop.
Or she could realistically react if he would do that in character. Seems a little bit unlikely, but it is something he could do. Hakai would also be somewhat interesting as it is a form of existence erasure. In Chainsaw Man, we know that the Chainsaw Man himself has a type of either memory or conceptual erasure, where those eaten by him are just forgotten about. If it's memory-based, then Goku can just Hakai her from existence alongside her actual soul, rather than just her physical body she's inhabiting and regenerating. If it's conceptual, we know that the devils don't have resistance to what Chainsaw Man does, so it may be harder to prove that they have resistance to being erased from space and time, body and their soul included, which may be able to wipe you out from any timeline or connected timeline or place you are in, which is what Beerus implied until it is revealed Goku Black is an a-causal being from a type of god ring he's wearing known as the Time Ring, and that Zamasu in the future has immortality granted to him by a dragon called Super Shenron, who is literally multiple galaxies large in size and can just fly over the void of the multiverse and then generate multiple macrocosms on the whim of Android 17. So,
and just doesn't hit any of those planets with his wings whatsoever. He's so precise. It's incredible. Oops, sorry.
Probably not an anti-feat for Hakai. Now, if Makima tried to hit Goku with the bang, he then doesn't even flinch, and then let's say she survives a Chi-Chi-esque 23rd Budokai air punch, and then she tells Goku he was killing people by doing that, maybe he would be more susceptible to dialogue. This would lead into Makima trying to mind control or mind hack him, which in reality,
well, I mean, she is the control devil.
It's her main staple ability that needs to be discussed in this video. And then it needs to be discussed
there
whether
you go, you see it.
or not Goku can actually either avoid it or resist it entirely.
Maybe he's too dumb.
And if he can do either, then why is that? Most people will just say Goku is too strong, therefore hacks doesn't work, which as an argument doesn't really work without proper explanation, even if it's true inverse for certain things. But with Crossverse, there are haxes and things unexplored in Dragon Ball that people just assume would be true within it without evidence. For instance, did you know that Vegito, the fusion of Goku and Vegeta, gets turned into a candy ball and can function completely normally? However, Goku and Vegeta don't actually possess this ability. This is a Vegito-only ability in the guidebooks, which is why he can function without literal organs at full power, and then Goku and Vegeta struggle to survive underwater.
Huh, alright, okay, I like it. That's so mad, but that makes sense, alright.
Other examples of stronger power doesn't always negate hacks. would be such as Gohan and Krillin not being able to negate Goldo's time stop, despite being so much stronger they can pretty much blitz what he could perceive at first and probably handle him in a bout of just fisticuffs, no problem. Even Babidi can control people, clearly much more powerful than he is.
Yes.
With him mind controlling Dabura, who is as strong as Perfect Cell, yet losing to Piccolo in the anime, who is probably weaker than Cell Game's Goku from the past, going by the manga guidebooks and his relation to the Supreme Kai Shin. Anyway, you get the idea. We need to go into specifics. So, what level is Makima's mind hacks anyway? What does she even realistically do? Her mind control and influence usually extends in her own words to those that she deems as inferior to herself. These influences seem to not be in play with many characters, such as the Darkness Devil, who she calls Denji to save her from. However, this could be simply due to her wanting to manipulate and use Denji as we went over before. Due to this, though, it's hard to say exactly how she would react to a guy who could punch away the universe, grabbing her wrist and blowing her into atoms, forcing her to resurrect or then be eradicated from existence. Makima herself claims that she wants to beat Pochita, the OG Chainsaw Man, so that she can then deem him able to be controllable, in which she eventually just says it's unwinnable and gives up on this idea pretty shortly after. This is a contentious and pretty ambiguous part of her power set, with some saying she only couldn't control Chainsaw Man, not to say a power level differential, but because she actually looked up to him as a type of fan, being in awe of his ability to either wipe memories of things that existed he consumed or straight up eradicate things he eats conceptually.
I see, yeah, so it's not within her power set because she actually has some form of respect, whereas she can only really control people that she has no respect for and just completely, right, yeah, cool.
Whereas she wouldn't per se be a fan of Power or Goku, the ability for Chainsaw Man to consume and eradicate things conceptually is shown in Chapter 172. I feel the most blatantly where he eats the Ear Devil and everyone actually loses their ears rather than just forgetting about them, showing it may actually be more conceptual than we originally may have believed. This will be important for diving into Makima's mind hacks against Goku. To go over this introduction, however, it ultimately is ambiguous if she would see Goku as too powerful and couldn't control him, or if she really only couldn't control Chainsaw Man due to fandom. So I'll let you guys decide on that. That being said, for video's sake and because I'm here to teach you let's be honest, we will assume that her power can work on people stronger than her, such as Darkness Devil, and it's just her personal mental state with Chainsaw Man involved prior. Makima is stated to be transcendent to even devils such as the Cosmos Devil, who can pretty much slap you with a Gojo domain expansion, subjecting you to infinite information and then nuking your psyche until your brain is fried, and you can only say Halloween on repeat. Due to this, if you
so weird as well,
mind control the Cosmos Devil and overpower her ability to a transcendent degree, you get a Makima who can potentially mind control a being with pretty much universal levels of mental capacity. This is once again ambiguous due to the way the story and confrontations are structured, but for the video, I will actually be granting her this higher level of mental strength and being utterly transcendent to the Cosmos Devil, and you will see why.
Okay.
Since her powers will now attempt to control Goku for educational purposes, we have to get into how Goku's actual mind hacks and resistances to mental attacks actually work. Goku's mental capacity is interesting because of how energy itself
how dumb he is
actually functions within the story. Most people would call Goku rather simple, and I think this is true in a conventional sense. Then most people will also then deduce, but in a fight, Goku seems to be rather intelligent and snappy when he is serious.
Yeah, he's the only time where Goku's really, really smart is when he's in a fight. I'd say Ultra Instinct, though, is proof that he is able to completely free his mind, because that's the whole point of it, isn't it? Like, he has to completely, let the body just, take control, not his mind.
This not only will be the basis to an argument I'm going to present, but pretty much just blatant evidence for such. He then in Dragon Ball is described by Akira Toriyama in a super exciting guide interview. This is what was asked and then replied. What's the secret of winning in battle? And Toriyama replies, when it comes to battle, the most important thing is ki size and its control. Of course, ki also includes spiritual power as energy or vigor or genki, and bravery, yuki, and being in one's right mind, shoki. which could also be translated as true character. There's a limit to physical strength, no matter how much you toughen it up, and the only way to overcome that is with ki. I think that it was through turning ki into formidable power that Goku drew closer to being the strongest warrior in the universe. Ki is a physical, spiritual, and mental forming concoction that creates power. This is why when Gohan is nervous, he generates less power than when he is angry and fully willing to battle an opponent in all of Dragon Ball Z. The stronger Goku gets, therefore, the higher his body's energy and mental faculties such as courage and right-mindedness and so much more would be. A very literal way to explain this is that Goku can deduce the difference between infinite energy and a larger infinite energy, as well as distinguishing between almost no energy and then infinite energy, as well as possible higher dimensional energies, depending on who you ask, and thus can compute them and make a judgment of his capabilities in comparison to it. A great example of something trying to compute ki requiring data and hardware in a literal sense was the old Dragon Ball Scouters.
Oh, the Scouters, yeah, of course. Oh, okay, yeah.
When it had to process too much information,
It
would quite literally explode, despite being from a spacefaring, combative alien society that could make ships that could travel much faster than light and could blast across the universe in months. But too much ki, boom. Need a higher spec model to compute the ki level. Guy with infinite power? I can read the exact level he's using. This feels like only half of his infinite power, despite that being a level of infinity I can deduce. A guy whose energy surpasses the very spatial boundaries of my reality? Yeah, I can deduce what that means in my mind in terms of combat. This guy is traveling infinitely fast? Yeah, I can compute how to deal with him in infinitesimal time then.
Wow, okay, yeah.
Let's take this scene here, where Goku physically reacts and then deduces Goku Black will appear behind him after he uses instant transmission.
Yeah,
While Goku Black is still instantly transporting to appear behind him, then turning around as Goku Black reappears. His brain would literally have to calculate that scenario in infinite speed and then decide how to respond. This is also objectively in the series when Goku is still using his mind while fighting, which is then stated slower than the Ultra Instinct state of letting your body do things without thinking for obvious reasons. I believe with all of the ways that ki is literally described, what Goku would actually have to be doing to fight guys who can nuke a multiverse and traverse possibly infinite spaces would have to be doing. It sort of puts a lid on certain levels of information overload tactics. Even in alternate media guides, such as the Movie 8 pamphlet guide, is described Goku gets 1,000 times the courage with his companions, which helps amplify his battle power to win fights just due to mental state. In the actual story, there are a few instances where you could argue a form of mind hacks is attempted to be employed against Goku or a like-bodied character. There are Kid Goku versus Darkness, Mystery of the Dark World, Majin Vegeta versus Babidi, The Forest of Terra Illusions, and Goku versus Ribrianne. In Goku vs. Darkness, which is a fight many people aren't aware actually happens, as it is anime only from original Dragon Ball, Goku is put under a Spore-esque mental hallucination where Darkness, the guardian of the Ultra Divine Water, tries to sort of gaslight Goku into giving up his ambitions for a life of comfort and confusion to test his resolve and deem if he is worthy of drinking the real Ultra Divine Water. Goku breaks through this with common sense and basically saying, I'm not going to be a like you guys, so this isn't really due to mind hacks, but it shows he wasn't really susceptible to corruption or weak talk.
Right, okay.
In original Dragon Ball, episode 152.
That is a decent example to use against, like, considering who we're talking about in the grand scheme of this video that Goku is going up against.
Much later, Mystery of the Dark World, when Goku has to go to the magical furnace of said Dark World, and during this approach, Goku and Chi-Chi are confronted with a swarm of monsters while approaching a mountain formation that even the flying Nimbus is scared of approaching. Goku then opens his third eye and then can deduce all the monsters are imaginary and they vanish, showing his mind itself has illusion dispelling properties and proving his ki and power set probably affects his mental powers. Later on in the Namek arc, we also learn he has the ability to read minds and move things with just his mind, such as water, when his body is totally throttled, with some characters just straight up developing telekinesis as a combat form, such as Chaozu, Goldo, Piccolo, Frieza, and probably even Perfect Form Cell. Next is probably the most iconic mind hacks feat in Dragon Ball, which is Babidi versus...
right, silly example. I know I'm not the thingy, but Perfect Cell using telekinesis, definitely he can move things with his mind because he builds the arena doing that.
Majin Vegeta. Babidi in El Manga Legendario is capable of putting the wraps on Majin Buu, who has the capability of destroying the universe itself within the guide, whether that be over time or in one attack. He also completely collars the Demon King Dabura, who then becomes as strong as Perfect Cell, if not stronger or more imposing in Goku's opinion, due to having magic on top of Cell's strength level. Cell himself is able to wipe out an entire solar system, and then honestly some extra based on positioning from Earth and blah blah blah. On top of this, Babidi can control your mind from immense ranges. Babidi too can control your mind and make you implode from star systems away. He even straight up controls someone who is in a dark world with pretty much zero light sources whatsoever that is probably galaxies away, or at least star systems away, if not just straight up on the outskirts of the expanding universe in general. Babidi then, with multi-solar system levels of range with his mental abilities, if not multi-galactic, then gets negged and resisted by Majin Buu, whose key level is multi-solar through multi-galactic, if not just universal, like the guidebooks and Super Buuhan would suggest in the filler. With Majin Buu mainly just being afraid of being sealed away rather than controlled in the same way as Dabura per se. Majin Vegeta, who then scales somewhat to Majin Buu in his weaker form, and many...
The editing on this is really good, and there's always these little subtle moments, like that little lightsaber swoop with the transition was really cool.
Calibers above Perfect Cell, then can barely resist Babidi's mind control, while even allowing himself to be put under it to begin with even base Goku from the Afterlife Tournament arc being able to fight weighted Pikkon, who could one-tap a Perfect Cell who was stronger than ever in the guidebooks, showing that his actual power level and just raw AP allows him to deal with someone who has a similar, if not slightly inferior level of mind control range and power. The Forest of Terror illusions is more about overcoming your fears than overcoming mind control in Dragon Ball Super, but it does attack you and fester off of your mind. In Dragon Ball, this only means the stronger you are, the stronger illusions it can make to fight you, which is exactly what happens. This is actually evidence that the mental energy of Dragon Ball characters are so strong that they can just straight up generate illusions from a festering entity that can then challenge them. This is also shown just straight up in vision sparring, such as Gohan versus Krillin on their way to Namek, where Gohan can beat Krillin in mental sparring despite Krillin being much stronger and wiser when it comes to the technique, showing that the key level actually mattered in the spar and could determine your strength. Goku too, in Dragon Ball Super's manga, generates illusions to fight in his shadow boxing from his own mind at just the start of the series, with Frieza then training inside his own mind in just a cocoon to grow exponentially more powerful before the Tournament of Power. Then when Rebrand starts going crazy in the Tournament of Power, she then tries a special ability which forces you to fall in love with her, which Goku just gets a tingly nose about, then completely resists. Goku probably and unironically could resist some even insanely overpowered charm-type movesets in anime, including Makima's. Not only this, but Makima's real heavy-hitting control power is done through hitting you with a chain technique to bind you, which people can perceive and react to in a rather slow anime verse like Chainsaw Man. These chains are just straight up never hitting him.
No, Goku ain't getting hit by those.
Albeit conceptual, doesn't inherently generate insane levels of consciousness such as an outer-versal mind that isn't bound by space or time or something like that. A concept itself is simply an idea, and in Chainsaw Man, these devils represent the internal fears of humans. When considering their concept of guns and their fear of the gun devil is then what drives his power. When considering conceptual manipulation and the ability to, say, wipe concepts from people's minds, how would you reason that wiping the mind of a three-dimensional being and all the concepts or ideas within that suddenly generates the ability to then mind control or mind wipe a higher dimensional being? The answer is that it simply doesn't. These conflations usually come from the idea of Platonic concept and Plato's perfect world. Unfortunately, that is simply not what is described in Chainsaw Man ever. The concepts in Chainsaw Man, as I said before, are simply the fears of normal humans manifesting into reality and then amplifying demonic entities that fester off said fears. That being said, it is still impressive to be able to erase these concepts from the human mind and can totally be applied within a versus battle scenario. If you had this ability, you could potentially wipe the memories or concepts of someone's abilities mid-fight, or simply fry their brain of fundamental and basic ideas. There are many creative ways for Makima to use this hacks, which she seems to be able to do with mind wiping, But to say it would make her mind higher dimensional is just not reasonable or even logical. If someone's mind can understand and digest concepts, you have to play along with me here, of what an 8-dimensional ear looks like, and even have them, would Pochita absorbing a 3-dimensional devil that is generated off the concept of 3-dimensional ears in a normal dimensional reality eradicate all of the 8-dimensional ears and all thoughts of them from existence? It just seems a bit like a stretch, based on, once again, conflating all forms of concepts with platonic concepts. I may go over more of this in the future, but for now, I think that is easy enough to understand that it is a dubious line of reasoning. A last resort tactic, then, Makima may attempt against Goku is to straight up try to send him to hell if her bag of tricks don't work on him, so she can continue her plan against Power and Denji unhindered by a random overpowered obstruction, which in her mind may not be deemed any different than, say, her encountering the Darkness Devil out of nowhere and having to then sideline it. Unfortunately, even Shenron himself, the dragon that grants wishes in Dragon Ball, can't actually teleport or move Goku anywhere against his will either, because he is too powerful. In fact, this would apply to misfortune and even mind control as well, such as when Shenron couldn't influence the fate of the Saiyans, Nappa and Vegeta, when they were on the way to Earth whatsoever. With Shenron having all the power of Kami or whomever generated it in a respective time, like Dende or etc., Kami is then able to blow away entire moons due to his scaling above King Piccolo and Master Roshi from original Dragon Ball, and then can even recreate those moons and revive massive hordes of the population back into existence through his Shenron. With some, like the Namekian dragon Porunga and its magical powers, being able to fix entire planets and teleport entire populations away across the universe to inhabit new worlds. Either way, teleporting Goku away is probably not likely, and it needs a bit more explanation, as that is unfortunately one of the hyper-specific powers that Goku would resist by just being strong. Goku
crazy.
Eventually may have to resort to using the Mafuba if you don't think he can actually erase Makima with his Hakai powers or his God powers in general, in which he would seal her away without damaging her. However, this is a weird last resort, and Goku had to lose to Zamasu many times before resorting to this in Dragon Ball Super. That being said, if Makima were to get killed, she would then later snipe Power in front of Denji with her long-range sacrificial implosion ability and still ruin Denji's life and have the original Chainsaw Man come out while Goku is none the wiser. Denji might also be so flabbergasted by all of the events, he might not even verbally communicate with someone like Goku about all of Makima's nature and known qualities. That being said, Goku probably wouldn't have time to seal Makima if he doesn't one-shot her or erase her from existence. Power is probably going to randomly die one day while Goku is not paying attention. But if he is more aware and constantly follows Makima's energy around the planet to end things like he's on Terminator mode, such as in the memes, then he may just chase her around the world and eventually restrain her with either combat or sealing until she gives up her plans. If that happens, she may just try to convince Goku to take down the other devils like Death, War, and Famine with a more conventional manipulation approach, which would honestly probably be more effective, as we see in original Dragon Ball, although Goku probably wouldn't even kill the other devils either, even if he did confront them to fight, as he has fought literal pure abominations of evil with almost no sentience, and still wish the best for them at the end of the day. He can also tell how evil or bad people are, and can seem to tell if people can be redeemed. Even Makima's charms, her manipulative words, and her wit, honestly really anything she would try, just probably wouldn't budge Goku's soul a single inch. It might just get to the point where Goku makes a new fan instead. Long story short, he hard counters her really badly in a one-on-one, and would save Power if he was filled in on what he should be doing. Maybe only failing if he is never informed of anything and then going off to seal Makima later. Either way though, Makima would lose, but the life of Power is up in the air, so I'll let you guys decide. Do you think Goku's powers are just too next level for Makima's sacrificial immortality to apply? Do you think Goku would chase her around and seal her? Do you think Makima would slip one by him and succeed in making Denji feel terrible? I think he just erases her or knocks her out cold, and she might just give up trying to fight him while he's around and find ways to work around him. That'd be that while Denji snaps back to reality, hopefully. But let me know. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.
So Goku does win. But I like how everything was explained, and the examples at first don't seem like, they should be something that's brought up, but then it's like, no, yeah, because like she's the control devil. Let's go over all the times that Goku has potentially been controlled in different ways, or like not, because he's resisted it, and what his mind is capable of, and his abilities, and da 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 da. And every time there's a strength feat within Chainsaw Man, it's like, what does that actually equate to within Goku's ability? That was brilliant. That was so good. That was very, very good. The editing was boss as well. The sound, everything. I think the mic went up slightly 3/4 of the way in. I remember just kind of like being like, oh, but that was all right. But boss video, absolutely class. And I look forward to seeing what the next. I reckon he's got at least 3 more videos on the main channel. He's done some on the second. If you want me to check out some of those ones, I think there's like Kid Buu, there's a Super Buu, and then there's Gohan versus Kaba or something like that. I can't remember. If you want me to check out the second channel stuff as well, let me know. But yeah, thanks for watching.
Like and subscribe. Pixel